What's up, Cubers? My name is Kenneth. Today I'm really excited because I bought a 3D printer and I'm going to put it together. So I don't know much about 3D printing except for I really want to do it. So I'm going to see if I can put it together and print something. So it's been a week and I've had a lot of fun with my 3D printer, and I've been kind of hinting a lot about my 3D printer on my Instagram, showing a couple of the prints. And anyway, this has just been a lot of fun. Had a great time this week printing things. So I'm going to show you a couple of the things that I printed this week. And I'm going to start with this one. This is the 3D Benchy, and it's obviously a boat, but this is like a benchmark print. So you can use this print to kind of diagnose issues with your printer, see how well your printer is printing. And I'm just really happy with how this turned out. I think it looks really great. It's a difficult thing to print because of these like arches and that gap, some of these holes. This subtle slope can be a challenge. Everything about it is hard, and I think my printer is doing a great job. And this was just using like the default printer settings from Cura for my printer, and I'm really happy with it. I think it turned out great. I printed a couple of these in the different plastics I have, and I tried out different settings. And yeah, I mean, they just turned out really great. So that's the benchmark Benchy. And then I also printed out, I wanted to print out some puzzles and toys and things like that. So here's a fidget cube, and this came off the plate with a couple gears that a couple knobs that I'm using to help calibrate my printer. And it all printed together, which is really great. And yeah, so this is just a fidget cube, and the fidget cube turned out pretty good, and it's supposed to come off the plate and you can play with it right off the plate, which I'm doing right now, but it actually broke. So it came off the plate all right, and then once I started breaking in some of these hinges, this hinge just kind of snapped. So that's too bad. But I went and tried to print that again in the new plastic I got, which was this black plastic. And this one was a little bit bigger, and it turned out really great. I think it looks really good, and I'm happy with how this one came out. So all the things that I printed, I'm actually going to put a link in the description. So if you're interested in printing one of these, definitely check out the links to these items in Thingiverse. So after that, I really wanted to print like a twisty puzzle. So I printed this 1x2x3 from Tom Z, and yeah, this thing turned out really good. It's pretty darn stiff. The tolerances are very tight, but it actually is pretty good. Like, it's very stable, obviously. The corners don't shake, which is good because that's kind of the biggest problem with the 1x2x3. Often these corners here are very kind of loose, but not in this one. This one's very tight. The only issue is it's probably just a little bit too tight, and I'm kind of worried I'm going to break it when I play with it. So that's the only issue with this 1x2x3. And there's actually a bunch of 1x2x3s on Thingiverse, so I started printing some other ones. So let me show you some of the other ones I printed. So I printed this one. This one actually, this is only half of it, obviously. And you can see these corner pieces, the ones with the dovetails, they just don't fit in these slots right here. I think it's just kind of a bad design. I don't think the person who designed it actually printed it. So yeah, it doesn't work. So don't print this one if you have the opportunity on Thingiverse. But I'll show you another one that did work, and that's this one. This one did work, and it actually is a little bit loose, but it's kind of nice because you can finger trick it. It cuts corners a little bit. The pieces will pop, so you have to be a little bit careful. But it's a working 1x2x3. So this one is kind of the opposite of the Tom Z one, in that the Tom Z one is a little too tight. This one's a little too loose. So next up, I wanted to use some of the build volume that I got with this large printer. So let me zoom out and show you guys this huge tray. And this tray is actually the perfect size to go under my printer and hold some tools. So I'm going to use this to hold some of the bigger tools and that go with my 3D printer. And because it fits perfectly for my 3D printer, it's just really great. So I use the fine settings, and it turned out pretty fine. It also had these two other trays, which are a little thinner, and they sit on top of each other, and I'm using them to hold more tools, and as well as some of the spare parts. And these ones I printed in the more the coarser adjustments, and it printed actually really great for the first layer, but then the second layer actually started like coming up a little bit, and I think it's because the layer height was just a little too high and it wasn't quite sticking to the layers underneath it. But that's okay, because these really are going underneath the printer and no one's really going to see them, and that's fine. You know, I think as long as they work, which it does. So yeah, so here's some of the tools that are going to be underneath my 3D printer, and yeah, pretty cool, pretty useful too. Here's the last thing I'm going to show you guys that I printed off of Thingiverse, and this is a Lazy Susan. And I really wanted a Lazy Susan so that I could show off some of my prints and then kind of get that nice like rotating camera look. But this Lazy Susan's probably a little too small for that, because you'll probably see my finger. You can see it's got this kind of like cap, and then inside it's got these little bearings, and yeah, it all comes together, and now you've got a little bit of a Lazy Susan. So yeah, there's my Lazy Susan. So the next thing I'm going to show you guys is this, and you can't even see it because my camera's not going to do much justice to this, but this is called a lithophane, and what that is a like a 3D representation of an image. So basically what I have here is a picture of a Joshua tree and the Milky Way that I took, and the darker areas are thicker and the lighter areas are thinner, so it lets more light in the lighter areas, and when you backlight the thing, it actually shows your image in black and white. And I think it turned out great. I'm really happy with it. I think it'll make a really cool like lampshade, so I might try to design something to hold a light behind this, and this can like slide into it. I think that would be really cool. So finally, I want to talk about designing my own thing. So I really want to learn how to design my own thing. So I started practicing in SketchUp, and I designed this, and it doesn't look like much, but this took me hours. It was so difficult. I was trying to get a simple like solid kind of border with rounded corners, and then I wanted to also round like this edge, all these edges around here. And to do that in SketchUp, I just found it to be extremely painful. And then obviously I wanted my logo like extruded up. I finally got it and was able to print this. And yeah, I think it looks cool. But what I really wanted to do was make it a lot bigger. And I wanted to make red and KB and white and have that kind of sit inside the solid behind it. And so I tried to do that in SketchUp, and I just failed. So I tried using Fusion 360 instead, and you know, I had some hardships there, but it was actually a lot easier than SketchUp. And yeah, I'm really happy how it turned out. So here it is. So yeah, this is my obviously my logo, and it's all printed out, and I have the letters they're basically inlaid here. And yeah, and it turned out really great. And actually behind the R and the B are some countersunk holes so that I can mount it as well. And yeah, I'm so excited. I think it looks great, and I'm really happy that I was able to spend some time and learn a little bit on how to kind of design my own thing. I was able to get those rounded corners I was talking about. Yeah, so I can mount it on the wall, put it in the background of my YouTube videos, and you know, I'm just really excited. I think it turned out great. Maybe I can make some really cool little children puzzles. My kids love puzzles like this right now. So anyway, I'm happy with it. So anyway, that's pretty much it. I just wanted to show you guys pretty much everything I did this week playing with my new 3D printer. I'm really excited to try to learn how to start designing some of my own puzzles and maybe printing them out myself and showing you guys on my channel. I just bought this 3D printer. You know, I've been watching 3D printing YouTube videos and decided it was time for me to give it a try. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video, guys. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm coming out with weekly videos, and definitely check out the last one if you missed it. And stay tuned for the next one, guys. Thanks for watching, and of course, have a great day.